Good morning. I'm Robert Ward. I'm candidate for mayor of the city of Grand Rapids. Yesterday we showed you a video on how to access the Minnesota State Auditor's page and access the numbers to compare cities like the city of Grand Rapids, what their debt load is, what their tax base is, what your cost of government is, what your cost of road maintenance is, and so on. It's a page that we hope all of you take the time to access because it's easy to read, it's easy to use, and it will give you the true numbers for the city of Grand Rapids and other cities in the state of Minnesota and tell you exactly how they compare to the other 200 and approximately 26 cities that are over 2,500 people in population. Although there is 867 cities in the state of Minnesota, these tables show the largest 225. What that would mean is you're running a comparison against Bemidji, Hibbing, Brainerd, cities like Rochester, Mankato, Edina, Bloomington, and so on. And those are the real numbers that you need to know. As we discussed yesterday, on the page, the numbers are actually put together at the end of the year. So if you had numbers from the year 2014, they are put into the state at the end of 2014. So it's really giving you what the numbers are at the beginning of 2015. Those would be your latest numbers. As we showed you yesterday, our tax base, the amount of taxable commercial, industrial, and residential property that we could possibly collect was 8.6 million. The year before, it was something like 9.3 million. You'll see that on the page. What it tells you is this city is contracting. It is not advancing. Your tax base is shrinking. And the numbers are very clear on the state auditor's site. Now we went through a bunch of those numbers and it's easy to compare to a number of cities like Bemidji and Brainerd, as I said. But a couple numbers that I think are important I'd like to show you today and get you a little more accustomed to how to use the page. If we can move over to that page, and hopefully you'll all be able to see it okay, I'm going to use the cursor to get us to those numbers. If you look, just as a repeat of yesterday's, you go to the Google, just type in Minnesota State Auditor or anything like that, you're going to get a picture of Rebecca Otto, your state Minnesota auditor. If you look at the blue bar, it will go to reports and data. As you go down from there, it says towns, cities, and counties. Don't go there quite yet. Those are actual documents in length. Go to comparison tools and click on comparison tools. Then go to towns, which would be townships like Harris again, Arbo, and so on. You can go to cities or you can go to county financial reports. If we take a quick look at the city financial reports and click on that, again, 2014 ending numbers at the beginning of 2015. Let's go down the list, click on the arrow, drop down, and let's get to Grand Rapids. There we go. Grand Rapids and Itasca County. You hit the go button. And now you have on your screen the numbers for the city of Grand Rapids in 2014 ending, beginning of 2015. Clearly tells you that the city is Grand Rapids, the county is Itasca, the year is year-end 2014 with a population of 11,114 people. It's interesting to note when we talk about population, after the annexation ended in 2013, I believe it was, the population latest numbers have pretty much just flattened out. There isn't much change. Even with all the apartment buildings that you're aware of, the population really hasn't changed, which would lend you to think perhaps people are leaving as people are coming in, but the population really hasn't moved. Now, these would be the latest numbers with the state auditor, and there hasn't been any census that would really change this data. Again, we look at the taxable capacity. The most we could collect would be $8,622,000. The net that they actually collect is $6,407,761. You can analyze these numbers, you can change the dates and so on, but the one that I want to discuss today, actually the two, is your government. The cost of administration alone is the number 3 most expensive in the state of Minnesota. That's compared to Edina, Brainerd, Bemidji, Woodbury, that's all of them. Let's drop down here, and the important one I wanted to talk about was you have a tax capacity that you actually collect, of $6.4 million. Remember that number, $6.4 million. You have a total debt service of $5.9 million. $5,948,367 was due at the end of year 2014. So if you have a debt of almost $6 million and you have a collectible tax capacity of $6 million, I think it pretty much explains to you one of the major problems that we have in Grand Rapids. We have a lot of debt service, and we need to do something about that debt service. When we're speaking about the collectible tax, actually that number is $6.4 million at the end of 2014, the beginning of 2015. And we're talking about a debt service of $5.9 million. What that means is you're collecting $500,000 more than your debt service is, and that's it. $500,000 to run the entire city? So where does the rest of the money come from? That money comes from local government aid, just about $1.2 million. That's money paid by other areas given to you by the state. But the majority of the rest of the money comes from things like $990,000 that's paid by your utility bill, attached to your utility bill is a pilot payment. You have a stormwater sewer tax. You pay a transfer fee on your natural gas. You pay a transfer fee or franchise fee that actually funds a lot of ICTV that is put on your cable bill. There's a tax on your phone bill. So obviously it takes more money, but that money is paid by you. Those are hidden costs that really don't have to be paid by you. Those were ones added to the city because they need the extra money to run it. You have an extremely high cost to run this city. So going forward, it's very imperative that we look at projects and decide, can we afford to carry this debt? More importantly, can you, the public, afford to carry this debt? And how many more people can we afford to have leave, sell their house, and drop the tax base even further? That's what we have for you today, and we're hoping that tomorrow you will tune in again. We're going to take you to the League of Minnesota Cities sites, which is a major advisor to most of these smaller cities in the state of Minnesota, but not all cities. And we want you to take a look at some of the information that they offer to the cities in Grand Rapids. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you tomorrow.